My name is Sean, and this is the Volunteer car. The Volunteer is a former Legends race car that I have been working on to convert to be able to use for street use, along with the Petty Chevy, my other Legends race car that I've been doing the same with. The Volunteer car has come a very long way in the 5 months that I have had it. I've really been working on it for the past 3 months, and I've got this thing very, very close to being able to drive under its own power. There's a couple of small items that I still need to do before I can test drive it. Not out on the road, not yet, but that's what we're working on. In today's episode, I'm going to replace the brake master cylinder, clutch master cylinder, hopefully get all of the brakes bled out and be able to get the car started and let me know if I'm that much closer or if I've still got work to do. So let's go ahead and jump into it here on the Yankee Auto Systems. The first thing that I'm going to do, and it's not something I really wanted to do, but it's going to make life that much easier. Before I actually replace the brake master cylinder and the clutch master cylinder, I'm going to have to take off this left front fender. I really didn't want to do that because the fender is kind of under tension and under load as it's installed right now, and I've just been trying to work around it for the time being. However, where the brake master cylinder is, it's just going to be that much easier if I can just get straight on it. That means I'm also going to have to remove the exhaust manifold, but that's okay because the exhaust manifold doesn't really fit all that well right now. I've taken the exhaust manifold from the Petty Chevy car and put it on this car, and I did it with the fender on, and it was not fun. Not fun at all, and it's not sitting where I want it to. So what I'm going to focus on first is getting that fender off, getting the exhaust manifold off. That'll give me all of the access that I need to get at the brake master cylinder that much easier, and clutch master cylinder is easy. I don't really have to do anything with that. I've already actually got it out. So we're going to go ahead and get this fender off and get to work. This part should have been easy sizing the brake lines to be able to remove them from the cylinder, but of course it wasn't. Every single brake line fitting was a different size. I was able to get the brake master cylinder out, but that kind of presented me with a bit of a good news, bad news kind of situation. Good news, I was able to get it out. Not any issue really there. Just a couple bolts, pulling the hoses off. The bad news starts with I could have just pulled the push rod out and bled my brake master cylinder. I thought that there would have been some kind of circlip or something in there holding that in place, leading me to think that I needed to take this out to access this push rod. Wasn't the case, so bad news number one. Bad news number two, I've got the brake master cylinder out. It is a little different. It does seem to be the right dimensions. It does have the same amount of circuits on it. It does have the same amount of bolt holes, barring that this one has an additional hole here. I honestly don't know what that's for, and I had a bit of a Space Cadet moment. I took everything out of the box at home to make sure that it looked right before I got to the shop. Took the instructions out, took a look at them, left the instructions at home. So the reason why that's important and kind of a bad news situation, there's only 2 bleed stop screws for the brake master cylinder. And every master cylinder that I've dealt with did not have individual circuits. It was a much more modern brake master cylinder that typically only had one out for the front and one output for the rear. So that situation, yeah, you put 2 screws in there, bench bleed it, you're good to go. There's 5 holes on this master cylinder, so I'm a little confused and I don't understand exactly how I'm supposed to bench bleed this with that situation with only having 2 of these bench bleed screw stoppers. So I don't think I'm going to be continuing with my brake master cylinder today. I'm gonna have to go home at the end of the day, read those instructions and research a little bit. It's not that I can't understand it, I just haven't come across an individual circuit set up like this. One of the holes I know that I can block off by putting my pressure switch on, which is fine. That's what this hole is for a pressure switch feed, and that'll take care of the one hole. But the other 2 holes, I just don't know what to do with. And you cannot just run a bolt in there and expect it to not bleed brake fluid out. There are reliefs cut into the bleed stop screws that make that actually seat correctly so it'll keep all the fluid in. So that being said, I haven't run across this before, so I don't want to do anything wrong, so I'm not going to do anything else with the remainder of this for the rest of the day. Although, I do have my clutch master cylinder, so let's go take a look at that. So now here I have my old clutch master cylinder and my new clutch master cylinder. Both appear to be of the same design. There's little minor differences. This reservoir looks like it's a little bigger, it's got an updated cap, while this banjo screw isn't on the same orientation, but that's not a problem. This does come with a clutch push rod, so that's not going to be any issue. I should just be able to put this on the vise, cap that off. Maybe I can use one of these bench bleed screw stoppers. I should be able to just put this on the vice grip and use one of these screw stoppers as long as it's the same thread pitch to be able to bench bleed this as well. And then I'm going to have to make my push rod adjustments, basically just measuring the 2 of them together and then install this. Let's go ahead and jump onto that.
The whole reason for replacing the clutch master cylinder is because when I went to engage the clutch pedal, it was rock hard. So I was told that the vehicle would need a slave cylinder, which has already been replaced in a previous episode. And then once that slave cylinder is replaced, the clutch pedal still would not push. So it leads me to believe that the clutch master cylinder is bad. Not to mention this vehicle has sat for more likely over a decade. So it's just going to be a good maintenance item at this time as well. Little to no air bubbles coming out of the clutch master cylinder as you push the piston to its near full stroke slowly, then you know that you have properly bled your clutch master cylinder.
Alright, well now that I have very little, if any, air bubbles coming out of this clutch master cylinder, I can go ahead and install it to the vehicle. You may not need to bleed a clutch master cylinder like a brake master cylinder, but I don't see why you wouldn't have to. It's the same principle. You have a reservoir and then you have air within the system that's going to need to be bled out. So I always make sure to at least try and bleed out the clutch master cylinder and brake master cylinder. I have the ability to do so, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. But now that I have those items taken care of, it's time to go ahead and get this clutch master cylinder back into place. Now that I've got the clutch master cylinder installed and the clevis adjusted to the proper, or at least what feels like the proper adjustment for now, I'm going to go ahead and actually hook up the clutch master cylinder to the clutch line. I won't be able to bleed the clutch today, but I can at least get it hooked up and know that the clutch master cylinder is replaced and should just need bleeding once I get a second set of hands. Actually, a second set of feet. Anyway, let's finish up. Well, it is an unfortunate situation about that brake master cylinder not having enough bleed stop screws to be able to bench bleed that and get that installed. It is what it is. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to make as much progress in this video or today that I was hoping for. I did get the clutch master cylinder installed, and I do have that bled out, at least to this clutch line right here. Now, I'm not going to be able to bleed out the clutch or probably the brakes fully unless I have a second person here to help me with. And as of right now, that's just not something that can happen easily. So I'm going to go ahead and keep trudging on with everything that I can, just make game plans and come back to everything and make sure that I can get it taken care of the best that I can. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel New Yankee Auto Systems, and make sure to follow us on all of our socials. We do have Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. You can find us there. For now, I'm going to go ahead and regroup, get everything that I need, and come back to this project another day. Till then, see you on the next one. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel New Yankee Auto Systems and follow us on all of our facials. Make sure to like and facials. Ah, shit.